Do you find yourself asking the question, how do I know if my child is practicing enough? Or how do I know if my child is practicing too much? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss how many days your child should be practicing on a weekly basis based on their age and based on where they are in terms of their development. Stay tuned and you'll learn a lot from this video. So there are two groups of people that I want to focus on. I want to focus on the middle school and I want to focus on the high school. So the first group, we're going to focus on middle school kids. Now, middle school kids, what we have to make sure that we're doing, we have to make sure that we're keeping it fun. At a young age, we don't want our children to lose the love and joy that the game of basketball brings. So when you're looking at how many days a middle school kid should be training, it's simple. Let's start here. They should have at least 1 to 2 days of rest, right? And in terms of your team training, let's use AAU for example. So they're practicing twice a week with AAU. They need to have 1 to 2 days of rest, right? You have to allow their bodies to grow. You have to allow their bodies to heal, especially when they're young. So we got 1 to 2 days rest day. You got 2 days of AAU practice. Now, when we look at training, so 2 to 3 days a week should be individual training. Now, that individual training should be, especially if they're on their own training, if they're doing it on their own, it should be no more than 30 to 45 minutes each time they go to the gym and train. Because once they go beyond that 45-minute benchmark, they're just wasting their time, right? Now you're gonna start to lead to burnout and it's not productive, right? I was told at a young age by an individual, do not go in the gym when you're training on your own. Do not stay in the gym longer than 35 minutes. Go in there, work, go hard, and then take minimum breaks. I basically take 0 breaks and I just go hard. My breaks were always at the free throw line. So for your child, especially middle school child, you want to make sure their training is anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. If they're getting individual training by a specialist, I would say 60 minutes. Anything beyond 60 minutes is a waste of time, okay? Because again, we're talking about attention span, right? Most kids at a young age, they get bored quickly, right? So you want to make sure that you don't overdo it. Now, for high school students, it's a little different, right? High school athletes gonna be a little different. So you're looking at AAU practices, could be anywhere to probably 2 to 3 days, depending on the team you're playing on. And then you start looking at the rest day, at least 1 day, right? At least 1 day. And then you want to also add in the strength and conditioning component, the speed and agility. When I look at players' development, right? So I look at 2 months where I see kids get the biggest leap. They take their biggest leap, and it's in the month of June and July. And the reason why I say that is because they're no longer in school, right? So they're not getting up at 6 o'clock, 6:30, going to school from 8 to 4 or whatever the time frame they're going to school. Now that 8-hour window that they had when they was going to school, now it opens up. So this is why I say you really need to focus on these 2 months. The June and July is where you see big leaps, big jumps, right? And this is why for high school kids, you need to start adding in the strength and conditioning, the speed and agility, right? Because that's where they start making their major jumps. As far as individual training, you're talking about 3 to 5 days, 3 to 5 times a week that they should be focusing on training, individual training. And that training should be, how I look at the skill development, the individual training, it should be focused on skill, right? It should be focused on, like if I'm going, I just give you a great example. On Mondays, we're focused on shooting, right? Let's say we're focused on form shooting. We're focused on catch and shoot twos. We're focusing on catch and shoot threes. And then on Tuesday, we're focusing on ball handling And then we're gonna also focus on creating off the dribble ball handling. We're talking about our dribble pull-ups, our combination moves. And then on Wednesday, we go back to the shooting, right? But then I'm also gonna work on, instead of just catch and shooting, I'm gonna work on our catch. So we're gonna keep the catch and shooting, 2s and the 3s. And then we're gonna add in off the catch moves. So that means our shot fakes, our jab series. We're going 1 dribble pull-up off the catch, 2 dribble pull-ups off the catch. So when you start stacking those days and start stacking those skill sets over those 2 months, again, you could just focus on June and July. Over those 2 months, your child should be able to see significant growth. The problem that most kids and most parents have is that they're trying to cram everything in at once. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, you end up nowhere, right? You end up, your child just burn out. They don't want to do it no more. Now they're not getting up and working out because they're just doing too much. You have to be strategic and you have to chart their progress. When you start to chart it, it starts to make sense to them. And then they start to see results. And when anybody sees results, they want to do more of it. So that's just my little feedback in terms of the question. How much is too much? How little is too little when it comes to training? And again, you got to focus on where your child is from an age standpoint and from a development standpoint. Don't overdo it. It's not that hard. It's actually easier than what you think, but you have to be strategic and you have to make sure that your child is tracking their progression. If they're not doing that, they're wasting their time. I say this, what gets written down gets measured, and what gets measured gets accomplished. I'm a Coach Green, your basketball scoring coach. Thank you again for tapping into this video. Do me a quick favor, click that like button, comment below, let me know what you thought about this video.